You ever had those annoying thoughts where it just feels like they're just rattling around in your head over and over and over again, and you just can't get them out? Well, stay tuned and I will tell you how to let go of those annoying ruminations that just don't seem to want to leave. Hi, I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and this week we are back at it. I'm so excited. We took a little bit of a sabbatical. It was much needed to be able to really perfect the final group series within these success groups, to get the content ready for our phase 3, our part 3 book of key steps to live a happier and healthier life. And it's all about interpersonal skills. It's about relating to others. So when we look at the brain, our perception, kind of how everything is filtering in, is through that primitive brain, right? It wants to survive. So it's coming in at, is this a stress? Because stress is life or death. And as we're in this stress of life or death, we're wrangling with a lot of emotions and emotional reaction. Our implicit memory is just triggering very quickly and trying to find the quickest response, which is usually causing more chaos and more thoughts to come up that is related to the stressor at hand. So if we look at the amygdala like a long hallway of doors, when we are stressed, the amygdala is running up and down that hallway trying to find something similar, and every once in a while it finds a doorway and it hovers in that doorway. And as it's hovering in that doorway, it is pulling everything that feels similar to this stress. So in 2020, we kind of worldwide had a pandemic, and I say that everybody who lived through that pandemic, COVID, really has a trauma brain now, because chronic stress and trauma look exactly the same on MRI studies. So it's a brain that is wired and that is firing with this reaction response as a priority and trying to react quickly and get into that amygdala in those doors. So because it's a trauma brain, because we've had a chronic stress, there is a door, there is a room that you have, and this may be the only thing in your room, but you may have other things that have accumulated in this room. You built a room though, and that's what trauma and chronic stress is you built a room, and now things can go in that room. And so that room is that there is an authority figure, because we go big, right? It's not specific. It is not specific. It's trying to be as broad as possible. So it's not the government. It's not, a certain president. It is an authority figure, is creating rules and experiences that prevent you from being able to feel like you can freely engage in what your day-to-day activity once was, and what your perceived expectation of what kind of life was. And as a part of that, there was also a lot of stress and concern about safety and security. One of our universal constructs, go back to that video. And this sense of safety and security, comes up because of, we had shortages. Apparently eggs today are the TP of yesterday. We had We had concern with our jobs and job security, and would we be able to maintain our job? Would we be able to maintain our finances and the level of lifestyle that we're used to? So all of these things are in this room, and anytime something happens that's similar to it, the amygdala is going in that room, and these little thoughts are coming up. And they sit there and they kind of just cycle around, and we try to find another universal construct, agency, right? And as we're trying to find agency in value, another universal construct, we are trying to find all the things that really indicated where we didn't have something, and then we're going back and reprocessing it to see how can we get it now. All those little thoughts, they stick with us. And although there is a lot of value to all of the implicit thoughts we have and the implicit memories we have, it is there for survival. There's a lot of excess baggage that we hold on to that is not ours to hold on to, and they don't really serve us. And so when these thoughts kind of sit there and they literally are running through your mind all day long. It's like the second you feel like you can be quiet, it's starting to tick, 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 tick in your mind. And so that's why avoidance is so prevalent, because the wandering mind that we talked about this at the beginning of the last section when we did our mindfulness, that wandering mind, or that kind of digital network that is trying to kind of create these predictive texts in order to survive is still it's still cranking. And so as we're in this emotional mind, because that is where it all starts, what we're trying to do is ground. And the more that we are grounded in the here and now with radical acceptance, we're letting go of all that shame and guilt, we can get up into the prefrontal cortex, we can get in the neocortex and start making some executive decisions, really taking on those leadership qualities, being able to build self-awareness, and then we get to social intelligence. And that's what we're going to talk about for 9 weeks, is all about as we kind of build up to releasing my 4th book, but 3rd book in the series, because let's face it, that executive function, man, I've been building it for a very long time. So it's never really that simple, but isn't that life? So I share that disclosure with you to say that is life. It's never that simple. So 4th book and a 3rd in the series. I like to think that Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain, that 1st book, was really the prequel, if you will, to these key steps. So it's very, very clinical. It's kind of technical, but it really does dive straight into my mind of how do I look clinically at my clients, and how do I kind of suss out what is happening and why people act the way they do. And when they are in this bad brain, this trauma, this chronic stress brain, why is it so predictable, and what are they doing? So it's a great book. It is very, very different from the workbook series on purpose. I am growing professionally, personally, intellectually as a writer. It's all about growth, right? Emotional resilience is a growth mindset, radical acceptance, and self-compassion. And so letting go and mindfulness is all connected into this. So the keys to success is emotional regulation, having purpose, and being able to live amongst these kind of leadership qualities, and then having the social intelligence. And it all plays together perfectly to be able to live a happier and healthier life. And mindfulness and letting go is taking all of those little thoughts and kind of spring cleaning in your mind and kind of saying, this is a good thought, but it's not my thought anymore, and so I should share that with somebody else, and maybe they can take all that energy and go somewhere with it. Or this doesn't serve me, or this wasn't even mine, somebody left it at a kegger like 15 years ago. I don't even know why I still have this, and I've been taking it with me everywhere I go. And so what we're trying to do is, without judgment, radical acceptance is not saying it's okay. It's understanding kind of that it's here. It's the hand that we are playing. And we're letting go of the things that don't serve us. We're cherishing the things that do. And we're donating the things that can be of use and value. It's just not of value to us, because to us it's a little toxic. And something about that would be oftentimes people will give information that is a projection, and it's not invaluable advice. It is very valuable advice, but it may be given to you at a time where you're not ready to accept it, and you may not ever be ready to accept it. And if you get something too soon and too early, you're not going to appreciate it, and it's going to have a connection and an entanglement to something complicated and technically stressful, because you got it too soon. You can't digest it appropriately. So it's kind of like the lactose intolerance of knowledge. And those things is what we want to kind of release and say, I get that it has value, but it's too tainted. It just has too much negative energy for me to be able to have it. And so I want to restore the value by passing it to others and not holding it on to myself. And that is what letting go is. It's understanding that we have all of these thoughts, but these thoughts are there in an effort for survival. And they're not necessarily every single one something that we must have. And it's not these premonitions and this energy clairvoyancy that we're reading. It's really about this idea that they are there because they're stored there because there is stress attached to it. And in order to be mindful, we're letting go of the shame and guilt. We're letting go of the stress, because stress will not serve us. It'll help us. It'll motivate us. But when we try to find a life where we are flowing in a positive cycling state, we don't need the stress. We don't need the stress, because we just are focused on what our values are, that sense of purpose, what our values are, and we're making decisions based on those values. And we're letting go of the external validators. We're letting go of these perceived expectations. And we're living a whole and simple life based on what we value the most. And that you will find that if you make decisions for your values, then the only decisions you make are value-based decisions. And that means that as you are creating a lens and a focus of what you enjoy, then what you find is you attract the same people and the same discussions and the same experiences of what you enjoy the most. What a beautiful world that would be. I am Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. If you like this, please go and thumbs up it. If you think that this is something that somebody could use, because we all could use it, please share my video and share this wealth of knowledge with others. I have a whole array of ways in which I want to help you to live a happier and healthier life. We are kicking off our interpersonal skills group this week. We've got the young professional women's. So between like 25 and 35 is really what the core demographic is. And we're going to go through the key steps of having this interpersonal skills. We're going to negotiate our value. We're going to look at behavior being predictable, so don't be afraid of it. We're going to build a framework for how to interact with others. I've got an empathy algorithm I cannot wait to share with you. We've got so many great ways that we can enhance how we talk to people and influence people and get people to join us on our journey so we feel less self-conscious. So please reach out if you are interested. I also have the couples relationship success group. So we're going to be building intimacy. We're going to be understanding the dynamic that we are in, and we're going to do a lot of conflict resolution and build really strong foundations of communication. So if any of this interests you, you want to go get one of my books and kind of start from the beginning, and before you get here, get into that video description. All of the links are there. Like, share, subscribe so that you can get more. Thank you so much.